Hi, everyone. I can't see anyone. I just see the podium, but I hear it's a full room, and I'm sorry I can't be there with you. I'm actually at my research site in Panama, so don't feel too bad for me. It's really, really nice and warm here right now, but I'll be back in a few days. But my seminar is on tropical forests, their ecology and conservation. A little about me, I'm a professor of tropical forest ecology, as you heard in the School of the Environment. I'm also a research associate here in Panama at the Smithsonian. And my research focuses on tropical forest diversity and especially regeneration dynamics, meaning like when and where and which species survive as seedlings, and how that shapes the diversity and composition of tropical forests. I'm also the mother of two New Haven public school students. I've got a sixth grader at Worthington Hooker and ninth grader at Wilbur Cross. Please don't tell them I showed you pictures of them because they would hate that. But there they are. And so for me, this is a fantastic opportunity to get more involved in New Haven public schools. They've both been in New Haven public schools since kindergarten. So why tropical forests? Why a seminar on tropical forests? Well, for me, I'm essentially a biodiversity scientist and work in the tropics because I'm fascinated by the tremendous biodiversity that's there. There's also, along with that, fascinating ecological interactions, both mutualisms like pollination, seed dispersal, but also antagonistic relationships that play, like pathogen attack, that play a really important role in shaping these ecological communities. Tropical forests are also have high social, cultural, and economic importance, both at the local scale, but all the way up to global scale. And despite that, they continue to be highly threatened. So for this seminar, I'm envisioning that it could work for literally any grade level. It's possible to make it fascinating for any student of any age or any adult. And so I'm very open to any grade level, as well as a variety of subjects. So of course, biology, ecology, environmental sciences, but also math and statistics, as well as social sciences like geography, anthropology, history, sustainable development. And I'm also more than happy to have teachers who are interested in literature and art, maybe exploring how tropical forests are portrayed historically through art or in literature. And finally, most of my own research and a lot of what we'll talk about is about forests in Latin America. And so it could also be appropriate for Spanish teachers. And actually, my Spanish vocabulary is best when it comes to talking about tropical forests. The format I'm envisioning is lectures where I distill the important content down and present it to you. And also discussions of readings, in particular from popular science books and news articles. I'm happy to make, primary sources, peer-reviewed scientific journal articles available, but I also think that there's a lot of really good popular news articles that do a good job of digesting that information and presenting it. I'm also planning to incorporate one and ideally a couple visits to the Peabody Museum, both to see the tropical organisms that are on display to the public, but also to go behind the scenes with the curators to look at the collections they have. And this is something I do with my classes that I teach at Yale, of taking students behind the scenes, and the curators do an amazing job of showcasing the incredible collections that they have. So in terms of topics to be covered, on the ecology side, we'll explore things like patterns of biodiversity, why are the tropics so diverse, and how that biodiversity is defined and monitored and measured. Ecological interactions, plant-animal interactions, as well as evolutionary adaptations and coevolution that has happened between tropical organisms. I'll also talk a lot about how tropical forests influence climate, and this is more on the ecosystem side. Tropical forests are incredible carbon sinks, and for that reason, they play an important role of climate change and climate change mitigation as a climate change tool. And so we'll talk about how and why that happens. On the conservation side, we'll talk about the value of tropical forests. Beyond carbon, other kinds of ecosystem services they provide, their cultural importance. We'll go through threats to tropical forests, the drivers of deforestation and degradation, impacts of climate change, as well as hunting leading to defaunation and loss of large mammals and birds. And on a more positive note, because I like to emphasize the positive, we'll also talk about tropical forest resilience and recovery. Right now, I'm in a region of Panama where there's a lot of reforestation going on, but also a lot of natural regeneration. So tropical forests have the ability to regenerate naturally when they're no longer being used for agriculture. And we'll also talk about conservation and restoration strategies that have been successful in the tropics. For me, the most important thing is to make the seminar interesting and useful to all of you. And so I'm very happy to entertain suggestions or to tweak what we cover. And in particular, I've thought about things that might be of interest to teachers. So things like the role of indigenous communities that live in the forest. There's a lot of good evidence that they do an excellent job of conserving and protecting tropical forests. For those more on the math side, we can look at statistical analysis of data sets from the tropics. There's a lot of openly available data sets. I was also thinking about links to the New Haven community, and one that popped out or came to mind was tropical migratory birds. There's a number of species that we see in New Haven in the spring and summer that actually spend the winter in the tropics. And of course, tropical commodities, the things that get us through the day, like coffee and chocolate, that come from the tropics and play a big role in our lives. And again, I'm very open to other ideas from teachers around tropical forests to make this as useful as possible for all of you.